happening, everyone? I am jacked up and I'm ready to rock and roll. We got some cool stuff to talk about today. I got Kong on the show. He's back. He's back in action. He's got some cool stuff to talk about as well. And yeah, man, it's been a busy day, busy morning, but I've been excited for the stream since the start of the day because we got some cool stuff to talk about. I won't ruin it all, but I did do a tweet to outline a couple of things if you're super curious. So yeah, get your questions in the chat. We should have time to maybe get to a couple, no promises, but we're gonna rapid fire go through a few topics, so it'll be good. Happy Friday, everyone! Almost Christmas. We're almost there. We're almost done with 2023. I don't know if anyone realized that. Also, if you haven't noticed, PulseChain launched. That happened in mid-May. That actually happened in mid-May. Just FYI, in case you didn't realize it. PulseChain.com. Save yourself. Anyways, without further ado, welcome back to the show. Crypto Kong, how's it going?
What's going on? How's everyone doing? I mean, it's a beautiful day, man. I'm excited for the stream. It's December, but we got tons of sun. So, the holidays are also coming up, lots of exciting stuff. So, yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. Pump Simber, not for our ecosystem, maybe for other ones.
Yeah.
Almost.
I mean, we've gotten a little bit of juice, right? Especially compared to like traditional stuff. Like I think we're still doing okay. Like we're down a little bit, but I mean, what do we say? The volatility is a feature, not a bug. So, I mean,
The price you pay for the world's best performing asset. I think that was a quote from the man himself.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And we got a few things to dive into. Let's hit Ledger first because I feel like that's something that a couple of people I've had a few questions over the last few days too, and I think that's something we can get into and talk about. So let me just put up on my screen because I did a whole stream about this. And the last tweet I made, I believe, that was most informative was so again, if you want to watch the stream, I got clips, I got streams, I got tweets and stuff about it. But essentially, Ledger Connect Kit was this piece of software, a lot of different dApps and stuff used. It got compromised for like 5 hours or something. 600K lost, I believe, around that number. Ledger's apparently going to reimburse people. Interesting. And it was all about this box that popped up. Essentially, the attack was they inserted some code into the Connect Kit, which is a library that all these other websites used. So a lot of popular websites, Revoke.cash and all that stuff. And then it would pop up over top of the legit one. It would say, hey, connect your wallet to this. You connect. It would try to trick you into doing a transaction. Apparently, it worked a little bit. And then that's what happened. So people are asking, hey, when is it good to, everyone's like, don't use crypto that day. And, my thing was, okay, I'm not concerned about my wallet or funds or websites unless I'd literally transacted during that period of time. It said 2 to 5 hours. Here I just say 12 to 14, just because I didn't know exact timeline. And then again, how could you tell what it was? Just as I described, a little malicious pop-up that looks like the real one. It would pop up over top of that on the website you were using if they were affected, and you would click on that and you would be interacting, with the malicious code. So, Kong, how serious was this? Is there, I think you had I want to talk about a little bit of ways to protect yourself and stuff like that from it. So if we do see this again, hopefully our community isn't affected or anyone else in crypto.
So yeah, one thing I've sort of been doing to kind of like mitigate risk in terms of smart contract risk and stuff like that is I have multiple different wallets, multiple different computers, multiple different like software and hardware wallets, and I don't interact with smart contracts. I don't interact with like websites. I don't connect my hardware wallet to any websites whatsoever, excluding like hex, like go.hex.com and stuff like that, to like end stakes and stuff. But I'll have specific seed phrases for like, let's say hex staking, ICOSA staking, dex, like uses of dexes and stuff like that. So I'll have dedicated wallets for specific use cases, and I don't interact with smart contracts using wallets that have like lots of funds inside of them. Right now the prices are down, so it's sort of hard to see the value of our tokens. But once these prices start to ratchet up, we're probably going to see a lot more scams, a lot more scammers, a lot more people trying to drain your wallet. And if your tokens are worth more, you're definitely going to want to protect them. So one thing I do is, if I'm making a swap, especially now that we have the Pulse chain and we don't have to deal with expensive Ethereum fees, I'll just have a whole separate wallet, do all my transactions on that, and then once I'm finished, I'll send funds over to my cold wallet, and that'll just be like send and receive, right? So You can use like literally just your cold wallet for sending and receiving. You could have another seed phrase that has some like hex stakes on it. So like if you already have, let's say, all your hex stakes and all your liquid tokens all in one address, it's good to split them up. Even when you're looking at revoke.cash and you're looking at all your different permissions, some those permissions, I believe, for the most part, are attached to that wallet address. So just simply moving coins to a different wallet address could not necessarily revoke those permissions, but now there's no coins in that address for hackers to necessarily drain. Unless your seed gets compromised, then if you're just generating a new address in the same seed, if your seed gets compromised, hackers could still get access to that and your coins. But there's plenty of ways to sort of mitigate risk. When I saw this sort of ledger exploit happen, I personally, like, I saw what happened. Like it was like a wallet connect, and basically I saw, if, like what Max explained, when you connected your wallet, it would drain your account. Now I wasn't really too worried about my personal wallets and my personal accounts. First of all, because I saw Alex tweeted out that app.icosa.pro doesn't even use this piece of software. So there's another reason why our community rocks, is because maybe Alex can see the counterparty risk and he was able to mitigate it beforehand. But another reason why I wasn't too worried was because I just use random wallets to connect with all the different sites. So even if my wallet was compromised and they drained maybe like $3 or $30 of Ethereum, it's no big deal for me, right? The hackers can take that. I'll just make a new wallet, make a new address, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, funny enough, yep, Hex, PulseChain, the apps, the IPFS apps, and otherwise were not affected. There was a little bit of back and forth. I wasn't sure at first. I thought, well, probably not. I was thinking probably not, based on a lot of people were in the chat, and we were kind of discussing. Some of the people in Pulse Dev chat were in the live stream when we were talking about it. I was like, oh yeah, well, maybe they're not affected. And I said later that day, well, RH or the dev, somebody will come out and say something. RH came out super braggadocious, which immediately I was like, okay, cool. He wouldn't say that unless we weren't affected. And then Brett Tepp, our favorite dev over there, was like, yeah, not affected. So pretty cool. Yeah, it's hardware wallets. They're one of the things too. Again, clear signing, people bring up clear signing, making sure that in general that you're using a hardware wallet properly. Like if you're using it for transactions, don't just look at the screen on your computer. Look at the screen on the wallet. Match the addresses. Use it as 2FA. Hardware wallets are essentially 2FA on your crypto. They let you generate seed phrases securely, and they let you have to press a button. So if your computer gets hacked or whatever, instead of the person, doing all the software stuff, the hacker can't reach out and grab your hardware wallet and press buttons on it. Only you can do that. So that's a major like kind of 2FA kind of push deal that you have using a hardware wallet. So that, and if software developers, be wary of your libraries. I tweeted, Dipcatcher was talking about it, and I said something like, you're only as strong as your weakest library that you use in your code, because you're using other people's code. It's essentially your code at that point. Like you're just as vulnerable as if you wrote it yourself, because you're using that type of reusable piece of code. So it'll be interesting to see. I think this is a wake-up call for a lot in crypto. A lot of the companies making products like this to say, hey, supply chain attacks are real. They're very common in the security industry. Like this is not a new thing, but crypto is always that, hey, this new thing, there's new devs, there's people who, they don't have millions of dollars of security teams out there. So they're, kind of playing catch up from time to time. So hopefully we can learn from this and it not happen again, but Hex unaffected once again. Pretty cool.
And like we always like to say, don't trust, verify. So as much as you can, try and verify what you can. There's been countless people who have come up to me, messaged me saying I lost my funds, like I connected to the wrong site, like phishing sites, etc., etc., etc. So don't trust links, verify them, get them from the original source. Like Richard Hart, like whenever I go on a new device and I want to get the bridge software, I'll go straight to Richard Hart's Twitter, verify that his Twitter is correct, go scroll down on his Twitter. Maybe that's even not the best place. If his Twitter gets hacked or something like that, maybe someone posts the wrong link. So there's ways you can double check. Even now, I think we're gonna go over how to verify the hashes on the IPFS and do all that, so you don't have to trust that you're using the right DApp. You can verify it as well. So I think that's a very important thing. And like with the hardware wallets, don't trust that you're sending it to the right wallet address. Verify it not only on the computer screen, but on your hardware wallet as well.
Yeah, that was a great segue into Go Real DeFi. So this is something that had some conversations on within the community too. And let me just start explaining, like, this is an answer to, go.hex.com and the current interface. This is an answer to, you click a link and it gives you this. And as a nerd and fellow Hexagon, I understand this is okay, but nobody else does. Nobody wants to see this. Nobody wants to compare hashes manually and all that stuff. Nobody wants to download it. I mean, again, when I say nobody, I say the 1% of people. The minority of people are okay doing this. And I love decentralization. I'm glad we're taking this direction, but it's an obvious step back for onboarding. So how do we fix that? Community steps up. We build sites. We build services, all kinds of different things running out there. Gamma's running RPC servers for PulseChain and otherwise. So that was kind of the idea between Go Real DeFi, is have a safe, trusted place and a very clear, concise, not busy. I've tried to make it as not busy as possible. I had a few things on the side here and at the bottom, but I've tried to make it as clear as possible for people onboarded and in the community to just be like, hey, here's a place I can click a link. And before I click those links, I can click verify hash. There's a big button. It says verify hash right here. Pops up a new window. And this is a script running on a different server. So even if something changed on this website, this script would not be affected. That's a key security feature. Like as a security professional, I put a lot of time and thought into doing this stuff. And it'll tell you right here, the version, the official site, the gateway site, which is just, I guess, what we're calling them now. They're gateway IPFS links. And then the official IPFS link or hash, the one on the site. So this is for hex.pulsechainapp.com, which is the one that go hex.com points to. The official, so even beyond. So the first step is verifying the hash. Okay, if everything's good there, looks good. The second step is, I went even further. I said, okay, you click on Hex here, and I made it a standardized 21 lines of code. You go to page source, right click page source, and there is 21 lines of code. And I've standardized it where it is static. It does not change. The only thing that changes between the sites is the title. It may say Hex, it may say PulseChain Bridge, whatever. But the only thing that changes besides the title is the iframe source. And the iframe source points to the official app. So this 21 lines of code is, you can make a hash from this. You can say, hash this data. And if I change one character, I tried this the other day. I knew it worked. I was trying to change one character, change anything put an IPFS S here. It will completely change that hash. So if you see here, this is the hash of the website itself, the hash of hex.pulsechainapp.com. And this is the hash of what the website should be if it has the official IPFS link using the official hash, if it's pointing to the official one. So that took a little bit of logic and stuff to figure out. I know I can do this. It's pretty straightforward, but I had to figure out. I want to give you two ways. You don't have to trust me. You don't have to trust any of this stuff. Look at the hash. You can do all this stuff manually too. That's what it was before, until I made this backend script that does all this. But this is a way, if all these things match up, if these things are the same, you'll get a status okay. If things aren't okay, it'll say status fail. And status fail means either one of these things is wrong. One of these things have changed. Either, more than likely, the update script in the background that keeps everything up to date on the minute notice, it checks the official website for all this stuff. If you go to hex.com/version.json, it pulls from this and it gets the official hash and the gateway and stuff from the JSON on the official website. So if any of this stuff changed, that would fail. Or if anything on the site itself changed, if one character changed here, the idea is if it was replaced with a malicious page or malicious site or whatever, if anything changed here, that would fail as well. So you would get status fail. But if everything else is okay and you get a green, okay here, the site looks okay, there's got a valid certificate, all that stuff, I'm scratching my head thinking, what is the risk? I don't know what as a security person, I don't know what the risk is here. If I've let you verify the hash with the button, You can verify the site itself has not changed with 21 lines of code, extremely simple and easy to read. Put that in ChatGPT and ask it what it does if you really can't read it, or want a second opinion, or send it to your tech friend. And it's got SSL certificates. It's got all the standard stuff too. I don't know, I feel safe using it. I'll say that. Nothing's 100%, not the official dev's website, not their GitLab, none of that stuff. But I have no concerns using it. So every time somebody says, "Oh, iframes are insecure," or it's dangerous to use the ones that aren't the official hashes and stuff like that. Just in general, just saying in general, yeah, normally that is correct. Normally, if this is that's why I want to make a difference here. Go Real DeFi is a verifiable gateway site. You can verify easily. You click this hash, it'll tell you. It'll bring you to the site, and you can verify for yourself. It is the same. Or right-click the site yourself and then go compare it to the official one on the website. You can do that too. There's just a button here that does all this stuff for you. So it is verifiable. Now, I'm sure there are plenty of other community-built sites that are not verifiable, or they're hard to verify, I guess you would say, where you have to open the source code, find where it is, make sure it's maybe, it's not as clear and concise as this, I would imagine. I haven't looked at all of them though. So there's a difference between using a verifiable one and a hard to verify one. And I did everything I could think of to make this as like obviously like legit and safe as possible, what I can think. But curious to get your opinion, Crypto Kong, of just IPFS in general, and the site or otherwise, your thoughts.
I just want to thank you for this site, because this is the site that I've personally been using, and I like that I can verify it myself. And you've put the thought and the logic behind like making it easy for someone to actually be able to verify it themselves, like truly. Yeah, like you were saying, a lot of the other community sites, you can't necessarily verify them, or it's more difficult to do so. So I just want to thank you for this piece of beautiful software that you've built here, and your website. But
Thank you.
in terms
Appreciate that.
in terms of the IPFS, I really like that you've laid it out like simply, because I know when I was pointing onboards, I had a couple of onboards from when I guess PulseChain launched, and like a bit after that, and they talked to me right after the website's changed, and they're like, what the heck's going on? Like what is this? Because when you're kind of like out of context, when you're not really in the community like day in day out, you don't really know what's going on. And like Max was saying, most people don't want to download random bridge softwares or random PulseX softwares onto their computer, and they just want to have a simple URL that they can bookmark, that they know came from the founder, that they could use. So I think that this site is a great tool for the community. Not only that you can verify yourself, but it's simple, it's easy, and it has all the different dApps in one place basically. And I think like this for onboarding is going to be great, because you can point people at them, and you can not only teach people like, hey, don't trust these websites, but verify them yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why I didn't want anyone to trust me. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to trust. There's some link in the chain that has some centralized thing. People build websites, so you got to trust the person to some extent, but as much as possible, like much more than any other website I've seen, I've tried to remove the element of trust. Verify. Everything is verified. Go to the link, verify. If it says fail, then you don't have to use it. I mean, more than likely it's not because it's malicious. More than likely the update script didn't work and something changed or otherwise, but it'll tell you exactly what's going on. And not only that, I've tried to add a couple other features like buy PLS will take you to, I'm trying to think of for onboards, what are they looking for when they go to a website, how to get it, how to use the apps. It'll take you to Go Pulse on that. I added a learn to earn where HEX, you can learn how to do HEX stuff. You can, figure out, I think it's an excellent portal. HEX Scout is created here for that. I was searching for the best link to do for PulseChain. And maybe if you know anything, let me know too. But I just came across goldkeysbento.me. So you click that, it'll take you here to the website, it's the Telegram, the founder stuff, explainer videos. I thought about doing that for PulseChain. And then for PulseX, it was just this, I think this was Coffee's video on PulseX, and explains it, which is, you see an ad right now, but that's not Crypto Coffee. He looks different than that. He's not a firefighter as far as I know. But it takes you there and shows his video. And then at the bottom, ecosystem freedom, baby, right there. Look at that eagle. I like that eagle. Also tells you again, please verify the hash. These sites are verifiable and nothing more than a view of the official IPFS apps. They're automatically kept up to date with official IPFS versions and exist to make onboarding easier in a safe way. Click the link to check the hash and look for status. Okay. trying to be as clear. And then any of these, you click any of these links, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are just click links to explain what it is. People talked about it. Coffee's talked about it. Somi's talked about it. Shout out to them. It was awesome when they cover it, and they still cover it. Like every once in a while, I watch a Coffee video. I'm like, oh, cool. He talked about Go Real DeFi. Like he told people to go there again. That's pretty cool. And then explain how that works and how you can do it manually. And again, just the idea on the security part as well. So, and then all the links to the original ones at the bottom too. So I try to make it as clear as possible, as easy as possible. So again, this is my have utility. Richard says have utility. And clearly, again, I love decentralization, but obvious step back and onboarding. Nobody needs to know what IPFS is. Nobody needs to download software unless they want to. Totally fine. So I'll wrap up with this point. On go.hex.com, I hope one day go.hex.com looks like this with just a button that says go hex or go stake or something like that. And there's a little drop down. I made videos on this too, explaining how I would change the UI of this, or what I hope it changes to in the future once, these things take time. I'm sure they're focused on other stuff right now, but eventually I hope there's like a ... And it's like nerd mode or show all the things, like tell me more. And then, so the whole screen has none of this. It just has go to Hex portal, and it just goes to this one link instead of the 3. That's actually an improvement. Before they had 3 links. So kudos for that. Shout out for that dev team. There's only 1 link now, which I get, it'd be cool if we had more links for different backups and stuff like that. I'm sure they'll add some more, but 1 link is so much easier than everyone stopping here and saying, well, which link do I take? Which one to take? I don't know which one to take. Which one's the best link? It's like, you don't need to think about which one is the best link, but nobody gets that at first. So anyways, I would remove this entire thing. I would have 1 button that just says this, but it says like go to Hex, app or something. And then a ... that says, nerd mode. And then all of this shows up. It's like, cool. You want to download it. You want to go to community websites, go to them. You want to go to IPFS, here's the hat. Like that's what I would do. And that's what I hope it changes into eventually. But that's it's not what we have today.
That's one thing that I was kind of thinking about, not necessarily what you were saying, but sort of I'm wondering if when this SEC stuff blows over, or like maybe when we get more clarity in terms of like the regulations and stuff like that, is he going to change this website, and what is he going to change it to, right? Because we've seen him change it to this. How long, or is it going to be like this forever? Like, is this going to always be the website? Is this website one day going to be gone and we're not going to even have this? We'll just have to like, hopefully, I doubt that's going to be the case, but I was thinking, I wonder how he's going to like improvise and improve this website once he has more certainty with the SEC or not, right? So I think that'll be interesting. But for now, like I think having the community dashboards, they work good. You can verify them and they're great, right? So,
well, just to that question, like let's just back up for decentralization. So what actually happened? So like, what was this for? If we were to speculate, is it to protect things against takedowns? If Richard or the devs get a takedown notice of, you gotta, you can't serve this stuff or whatever, or they're trying to, let's just go with that angle. You could say, okay, this is a better case for there's no managerial effort, blah, blah, blah. I feel like most of that's solved, but let's just focus on, hey, decentralized censorship resistance part. Well, what happens when they take down, if they send a takedown for go-to-hex.com, the landing page that shows the official hash? I mean, is Richard going to start tweeting the hash after that? Like, where do we go to for this information? So they can still take the website down. Just because it doesn't host the app doesn't mean it's censorship resistance against. I mean, if they did take down, again, this imaginary horribles, if it happened, the landing page, which has the key information of how to verify you're talking to the right app, it's gone. So it doesn't really, doesn't solve the censorship resistance as far as that goes. As far as you still need some trusted source to tell you this is the right one. And again, what happened after that? Now we need more community sites, or it's just Richard should start tweeting the links. Like, it's good. Again, it's a step in the right direction, but this doesn't solve like all these different edge cases that are around it. Just like calling hex staking mining, it's now called staking again. Like, what was that for? You go there, and yeah, it's called stake on the official app now. Like, I thought we were mining. It's a little. I feel like I know these things are all, I'm not keyed into all the strategies, and I'm sure there's like a bigger plan and all this stuff, but sometimes I'm like, this one narrative around all this stuff is to censorship resistant decentralization. Yeah, in part. Yeah, does it help? Sure. But it's not like we're, fully, no one can ever take us down, because again, this website is run by people, right? So we're have to shift. Are we just going to keep shifting where we share the information? I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't
And
get to that point.
that's one thing about the SEC as well, is I feel like they've caused us more troubles than they've done good. And I think Richard's talked
Obviously,
about this
yeah.
so much, where it's like I've protected more people from getting scammed than you guys have. And when you really look at it, like I think we're gonna take a look at a couple things later in the stream, but Hex is looked at like a scam. Like maybe not in everyone's eyes, but maybe in the SEC's eyes, maybe not. But there is that kind of like weird controversy surrounding Hex. But when you have other coins that are clearly scams, like they just get like no attention, or they do get attention, and it's not bad like Hex, right? So I think that the SEC, like maybe they're trying their best, but it's not working whatever they're doing. But
It's a line from the movie. Whatever they're doing, it ain't been working out. Yeah. Or from the trailer when Richard says it, whatever the government's been doing with your money, it's not been working out. Yeah, it just remind me
exactly.
of that.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's true, right? When even if you look at the money or any of the regulatory like processes in terms of the cryptocurrency, if you read Richard's tweets as well, he talks about like, you guys have already regulated this. You don't need to call Hex a security, basically, right? Like, it's not a security. Like you compare it to Bitcoin. I'm sure like he's gonna have to like figure it out in the whole ordeal, but this is like the SEC, I think, is causing more harm than good. And we'll see how this plays out. But one thing I do think is that this could be like almost like a blessing in disguise, where maybe right now we're hurting, but looking maybe fast forward 1 or 2 years, looking back, we're gonna be like, wow, maybe the SEC attacking us was the best thing that could have ever happened. But who knows? That's like kind of that's speculation, right? So we'll have to see what happens. Maybe it turns out and everything gets thrashed, but that's sort of like a series of imaginary horribles. And I don't think you could stop people from transacting on the Pulse chain. I don't think you could stop people. Maybe it would severely hurt the onboards. And if they took down the website, like it would be hard to onboard people. And like Max was saying, you couldn't verify all the sites, and you'd have to like shift over here and shift over there, right? And it would just make everything 100 times more difficult. But for the people that are passionate about using the Pulse chain, even if they want to trade, let's say, Ethereum, and just hold Ethereum on the Pulse chain because it's better network, it's just a better network. I think that'll still like you'll still have Pulse chain users no matter what happens. So
Yeah, I know an entity with $3 billion who probably could use that in a legit way to make this thing never go away. It's so weird. Like, I don't know. I've been following Richard for like 6 or 7 years now. I literally before Hex, before any of this stuff. And this SEC, it just doesn't, I don't know. It's not that it doesn't phase me, but it's just another bump in the road. It's not like there's no derailment. There's no way it just stops. There's no way we just dissolve. There's no way, we can't freely transact with each other. And there's no way that text is going to be stopped from doing a 10,000. Like there's no price god or government god or any sort of entity that can be like, no, you're making too much money. Your ecosystem is too good. Don't exist. So I don't care about any of this stuff. Like we're going to win. I don't care. I don't care about any of that.
we will win.
We will win. That's famous words from another gentleman we've heard of before. This poll surprised me. I got to say, chat. I won't ask Kong, so he won't have to dox himself. But chat, give me an answer here, and we can look at the results, because the results of this I was very hopeful, and always, if you're looking for some legit data to be happy about the ecosystem, I think this poll has some very, very cool numbers that can lift you up if you're thinking everything's going down. So chat, we're not moving on until you give me an answer. So give me a yes or not yet in the chat. And while you're doing that, we'll scroll down to this awesome meme here. Our power comes from within. Very inspirational. I like that guy. Don't know who the original guy is. He seems like a cool guy though too. Hopefully he's not like a weird person. Chat, come on, chat. There we go. Thank you, Red Bull Green Bear. Thank you. Appreciate that. Sometimes it takes them a few minutes.
Not yet, sir.
Yeah. No, not yet. Check this out.
Well, that kind of surprised me.
Right? Colin, can you run the numbers and give us the exact number of people from this poll who have answered it so far? There's still 2 days left. 417 votes, 7.9% yes. People who have paid off their own or their parents' mortgages with HEX profits so far.
So you want like the number of people that have voted not yet?
No, the number of people who voted yes, which you could get
Oh,
that from
that
not yet.
voted
But
yes.
yeah, I mean, it's if I were to guess, it's like what, 40, 30 some
It's like
people?
35-ish. I think if you do the math, it's like 35-ish. So
Yeah.
that's crazy in a poll of that's like we're seeing here. That's not even 10% of people. And I thought maybe there was not the right hexagons voting in this poll, but I think it's crazy because when you watch the movie or if you look back at the top, like it was some crazy times like Hex at 50 cent, 1,000,000%. Like I thought more people would have paid off their parents' mortgages by now, but that kind of surprised me.
Oh, you're going the other way. You're taking it that you think the number is low.
I think I think so.
You think okay? I mean, that's a good answer too. I mean, that's that perspective. My perspective was, wow, maybe I was just surprised that I don't know. I try to like be very measured. I try not to like look at things very objectively. So I don't ever want to make myself believe that all this stuff is just oh, it's just a fairy tale and it's all just going to work out because it's just meant to, and then we're just going to manifest it. I literally believe this stuff is going to work out because I see everything. I see the community. I see the people. I see the founder. I see the data. I see the charts. I see everything that makes me believe this. So when I look at this, I was like, wow, it is so cool to see that again. If we did 1,000 people voted, if we kept it the same, could be 80 people, at least 35 people. Just think about everyone in the chat, everyone here. Think about for a moment. At least 35 people, maybe 10 times that many. We don't know. At least 35 people in this world have invested in a product that is has so many good values and game theory and health, like healthy games, that type of stuff, in a legit product, and has been able to do amazing things in the real world with it. Either make themselves financially free, or at least mortgage free, or buy their mom and dad a house, or like help them get rid of that, take off the payments, like give their parents an easier life. Just at least 35 people, at least 30 some people have did that. Like that inspires me. Like that is the only hope you might want, is like those kind of legit numbers of being like, this stuff works. So it's whether you think the number is high or low, it's good. It's a good number.
I mean that is a beautiful thing as well because when you think about it, like especially from an outsider looking in, like we're literally playing around with like this like digital non-existent cryptocurrency, right? And it's surrounded with a bunch of controversy. And if you're an outsider looking in, like it doesn't really look all that well. But when you look kind of when you're in the community, like RH is saying, I think we have 100% have the best community. Like if you go on Twitter and you go look at any random person who tweets about PulseChain, our community flocks to them. Like we are the best community. We are the most active community. I think we are one of the smartest communities as well. Not that like all the communities are dumb or anything like that, but I think we have a lot of great qualities, and we have Richard Hart as our founder, and I think that's another thing that's important within an ecosystem is the community and the founder. And like Richard says, like we will win. I don't think like 35 people. I thought it would be a lot more, but that's still absolutely brilliant because when like I'm saying, when you're an outsider looking in, it doesn't seem real, right? When you're showing people the numbers on the screen, like they might not even believe you. Like, is that real money? Can you sell it? And then you show them like the liquidity on like the DEX or whatever, and they're like, well, is that real money? Can you sell that? Like, how does this work? So I guess once you sort of translate the digital non-existent quote unquote thing into like a tangible something like a house or like paying off a mortgage, I think people like really see that, and that is really inspiring, like you were saying, Max. Like and I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people kind of got into Hex, is because they saw this opportunity, they saw that potential. Whether it happens or not, like I think we have one of the strongest built communities, and like I think it's going to be a success story for a lot of the hexagons, especially the hexagons that are down here now with all of like all the drama and all the stuff that's happening. I think this is the perfect time not to be in the coin, which makes it the perfect time to be in the coin, essentially.
Yeah, I'm kind of jealous that people coming in the last 6 months have got they've missed all the fun. They've missed all the they get to buy at the prices that people were spending 10 50 times more, whatever the number is, not too long ago. So I'm happy for them. Every time I see a new hex skin, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so awesome. Like I don't have to worry about you. I'm not concerned that you're buying the top anymore. It's really fun. I wanted to
Exactly.
bring up this topic real quick too, or this comment. Edgewind, I bought a nice house in 2021 with Hex and other crypto profits, 100% equity, no mortgage. It's a great feeling. So even people are replying to this like that. I paid off a car and used the money to invest in 2 businesses, started, both are growing still, and Hex still up a good amount. Haters go. Like pure inspiration just from asking a question. It's real stuff, people. It's real stuff.
And I think in this bull market, if this asset really does take off, we're going to see a lot of people turning this like random digital imaginary quote unquote scam, unregistered security claimed by the SEC into like real tangible things, right? And we saw some of this last bull market. We had some even great community events where we put on different events and different gatherings for all the Hexkins to show up in different parties, and you saw that in the movie and stuff. But I think it's going to be great once we sort of translate all of our work and all of our studies and all of our research here into like the real world. And I think it really helps people. It's not ideal for people to be getting in at the top, but like that's probably when most people do get in, just because like of the FOMO. But I think showing people, like not showing people the money, but like showing people like what you've actually like turned your life into with Hex, I think that's going to inspire a lot of people outside of Hex and be like, what is this thing? Like what could I actually do with it? Like, is this real? And I think if this token Hex really takes off, and PulseChain especially really takes off in this bull market, like if it goes way above all of our expectations, we're going to have a lot of people stop saying scam, stop saying all that sort of stuff about Hex, because it's sort of proven itself now after a couple of years, right? Or more than a couple of years. Like we're moving on 4 years now, I believe. 20,
Oh yeah, right over
2018.
4.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah.
right over 4 years. And imagine, this kind of stuff is just you can't. It's not talked about enough, or it's talked about in a way that's like pure, pure just word. That's why I want to do these polls. I've been trying to do a lot of polls to gather data from the community on topics that help people see behind all the mess and mudslinging and all this stuff. Like these are the type of that stuff I want to bring out, because it's super important to not get caught up in the weeds of the current thing that's going on, the current drama. It's always going to be drama. We can only hope for better drama than worse drama. There's always going to be drama in some way. But that's what, a lot of people chat. Love your comments, Kong.
Awesome, guys. Thank you very much.
35 Humble D. We'll get this real quick and then we'll move on to Kong's got a couple things to present, I believe. Humble D Crypto, 35 paid off parents' mortgage, 35 sets parents to roll up new mortgage. If you do this in the future, make sure. It's awesome, man. Awesome. Like young and able to be a force for good in the world, man. Be a force for good in the world even longer. That's very cool. Very cool. All right. Kong, if there's something you want to put up, feel free, and we'll move on because, are you not entertained, people? Are you not entertained and or inspired?
Here, I put up that Hex article I came across. So this is Investopedia. I think it's supposed to be a good source. I don't really know after reading this. I don't know how old this article is, but it was just recently updated December 15th, 2023. And I came across it and I thought it was super interesting because I know a lot of people who are wanting to like new onboards getting into Hex. They're going to do the research and it's going to start at Google and it might stop at Google too. So whatever Google has to say is, we'll see, right? So this article, it goes over what is Hex. Hex is an Ethereum token itself. It positions itself as a blockchain certificate of deposit. That's what Richard says. That's sort of what the website says. It also says users receive more Hex if they wait to redeem the token, incentivizing them to hold for long periods of time. Now, this is like true, and it's kind of written out of context. And a lot of this article is written out of context. Like they'll say things that are kind of true, but they're written out of context to make it sort of seem bad. Because if you frame it like in a way where like you lock up your hex for T shares and that transfers value from essentially you to the liquid holders in a way, and you sort of get to accrue that value later with the inflation and through delayed gratification. But it doesn't say that here really. Like it just talks about how like if you wait a long time you can earn more hex, and that kind of like makes it sound like a Ponzi scheme a little bit. But lots of this stuff here, it's technically right. Like the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission charged the founder with defrauding investors and selling unregistered securities connected to the Hex ecosystem. I'm not sure if he's been charged yet. I'm not exactly sure of all the details, but I know they're trying to serve him still. I think I don't know if that police and that police warrant or whatever it was in Helsinki. I don't know if it counted. I heard a couple of things sort of both ways. I'm leaning towards there has to be a judge that decides whether it counts or not, and I think that's sort of the verdict on that, but not 100% sure. But yeah, it uses Hex's model rewards token holders, not miners or validators. So this is not necessarily true either. Like Hex incentivizes stakers, or I don't know if it's stakers or miners. I don't know what we're supposed to say nowadays, but um it says staking periods range from 1 day to 555, with longer stakes yielding higher rewards. It would be nice if this article would clarify why you would earn longer rewards with a longer lockup period, right? It might go over a little bit, like it talks a little bit about the T shares and stuff like that, but in terms of sort of even this stuff, like Hex has acknowledged that the project deploys tactics that a scam might use. So Richard has said some things like that, but like I think the way they word this and in the context, like they make it sound a little bit weird. And it also says Hex's boasted returns as high as 11,500% in advertisements. I don't think that was Richard Hart advertising. That might have been Hexicans advertising like the last couple or the last year of price performance or something like that. And I'm not sure like if Richard's ever been like, yeah, buy this coin, you'll make 11,500%. Like I don't know if that was ever like part of the narrative there. But
A lot of
go
this
ahead.
stuff is just copy and paste 401k. Like most of the stuff in there, copy. I mean, it's what. Yeah, I was looking over the article you sent it to me too, and I was thinking, okay, it's completely. I mean, there's very little facts. It's mostly just conjecture from
Yeah,
someone like reading something or articles or otherwise, or maybe they Googled at a
I
certain
think they
point in time and
Googled.
found this
Yeah.
stuff, and they came up with this. And it's the key takeaways is just like not even related. Like, can you go to the key takeaways for a second? Let's see what
Key
like
is
they want. I think it's near the bottom of the article.
near the
This
bottom.
is supposed to be what they want people to take away from reading. It's
The
supposed to be
bottom
the cliff
line.
notes. I thought they said key takeaways somewhere. Did not have that on there. Thought I read key takeaways. It had like 3 points on it.
Key
Yeah. Oh,
takeaways.
the first part. Okay. So what's it say? Can you zoom in
Yeah,
on
I
that?
can.
Yeah. So Hex is Ethereum token market stuff is blockchains. Okay. So the first one, and then the second one, Hex promised Hex holders with financial rewards. It's like, why are you even saying it that way? Like,
Right.
why isn't that anything else? Anything else can promise any other holder financial rewards if they held onto it, like the S&P 500 or anything else. I mean, like promised, as in, first of all, promise is not the word to use. But second of all, every other thing in the world that goes up over time is the same thing. Like, why is that? Why'd you say it like that? And then the SEC one is just. Is that a key takeaway? I mean, that's definitely a
That's a
note.
key
That's something to
takeaway.
know about. But like, how is that a key takeaway? No,
And
it seems very biased for sure.
I think so. Like I'm not, and it even says here on the article, written by Nathan and reviewed and fact checked. So this is reviewed and fact checked somehow, and it just comes across like this. In terms of Hex promised Hex holders with financial rewards if they hold onto and didn't sell the token for a long period of time. Like he said, this is completely out of context. Hex has a smart contract that'll pay you in Hex, right? It has nothing necessarily to do with the dollar, right? You could trade Hex for dollars in a liquidity pool that's completely separate than the smart contract that Hex, like that you mine or stake your Hex with, but that has really nothing to do with like you don't, in terms of rewards, it makes it sound like you're receiving dollars in returns for not selling your Hex, but you're actually just receiving Hex for not selling your Hex. So yeah, it's a little bit weird. Even
Well,
down here, go ahead.
I was gonna say that. Can you scroll back up there just for a second? The literally the next line, the next sentence. Hex's model rewards token holders, not miners out. That's not even factually correct. Like it rewards miners, aka stakers. Like what is this about? What is this about? And I just want to mention this too. Timothy in the chat says, I believe this article was first published during the year 1 of Hex, which makes sense. During a lot of that, it's not a lot of very interesting articles came out around that time. And I bet they just updated it recently for the SEC stuff. Just another key takeaway here. I wonder what the previous key takeaway was. I bet it was even cooler. So,
And
anyways.
I think there was other articles. I wish I had it, but there was like the best FUD article you would have ever seen written about Hex, and it was posted exactly at the bottom of the chart. And you could see like I wish I had it with me, but you could see like the article date posted, and then you could go look at the chart, and it was just right at the bottom. Like you could have made hundreds, thousands of X's if you had purchased the Hex token, but instead the article is like, no, scam.
Wow. Like literally what you highlighted is like the key piece of this whole thing. If you read nothing else, if you analyze not a single other sentence in this entire article, this is completely wrong. In fact, it's opposite. It punishes holders. If anything, if you hold liquid Hex, you're getting diluted by inflation. That's why you would stake it or mine it. Like, what is this? Is this like opposite article day? Like, what is this? It's
And it
not,
says token
not factually
holders.
correct.
And it talks about how if you're holding the Hex token, I guess you can earn more yield or whatever in Hex, earn more rewards in Hex. That's not even true either, because you'd have to like convert that to T shares, right? So like you're not no Hex holder yourself, like you'd have to hold T shares in order to make a reward. So no Hex holder is making any rewards whatsoever. Maybe price appreciation, but that's not like an incentive, or that is an incentive to hold, but that's not like a mining incentive. That's not like a staking or something like that, right?
A very pedestrian take on Hex that unfortunately didn't have a lot of good cited sources, if any. I'm sure they cited a couple things, but it's probably just other articles that didn't dig into Hex too much. But I mean, how to compare this to? Did you want to? So what do you use to look up stats? Do you like T-share data? Do you like looking at Hex? What do you look at to show like the strength of the power of Hex? Maybe we could like show people that, just to be like, all the stuff in the article, that's not what you should be looking at. You should be looking at the actual data here.
Here's apphex.win. This is a beautiful site. I haven't really showcased it in a while, but I think this like goes over everything perfectly. You have the 1 Hex price on both PulseChain and Ethereum. You have the share rate and sorry, you don't have the share rate, but you have the cost of a T-share and your payout per T-share in US dollars. So I think this website is perfect site if you want to take a look at some of the stats. It's not really loading for me right now. Let me just refresh it.
100% uptime.
Anyways, what I wanted to talk about was if you take a look at the T-shares data here, we can see that PulseChain is the purple or the pink. Can't really see what color that is, and the Ethereum was the blue at the bottom there, and basically Ethereum has less T-shares in circulation, which means that if there's less T-shares and Hex inflates at 3.69%, if you have T-shares on Ethereum, you're getting paid a little bit more than the same T-share over on PulseChain. Not only that, the T-share is a little bit more expensive on PulseChain. So if you had $150, you could buy a whole T-share on Ethereum and stake it for a day, which you probably shouldn't do because of the gas fees. But if you would need $300 over on the PulseChain to get an entire T-share. Not only that, on Ethereum, the yield looks like it's going to be better, and it's going to continue to be better because I think more people are going to be wanting to stake on the Pulse chain, and there's less T-shares on the Ethereum chain, meaning that the same amount of, let's say there's a 60 million Hex tokens or 60 billion Hex tokens a year being inflated. Those are going to be given out to less stakers or less T-shares, meaning that each of those T-shares is going to receive a bigger chunk of the change. So this website I think is super cool. You can look at the expiring stakes. You can see on which days lots of the stakes are coming out. T-share rate. I think many people forget, and many people are sleeping on the T-share rate. And once we see this over 100,000, that's going to take us a long time. As you can see on the chart here, it's going to be like 2030 until we reach 100,000. But once we reach 100,000 T-share rate, I think Hex is going to be in a lot different of a spot, and you're going to start to see T-shares on both Ethereum and PulseChain become like very like priceless like items. Like Hex is the store of value on the networks. That's at least what it's supposed to be. So we're gonna see, I think, at 100,000 T-share rate, even at 50,000, 75,000 T-share rate, once this starts ratcheting up, we're going to start to see more scarcity, because if people want those T-shares, which people love earning yield, right? That's what DeFi is. Like, people love chasing green candles and they love chasing yield, whether it's farming or staking or mining, whatever it is, they love chasing yield. And I think T-shares are going to start producing cash like they used to back in the bull market, because you used to be able to get 60-cent T-shares and they rose up to 10,000, right? And then plus if you are making all that interest on top of that. So this is a beautiful system when you actually look at the monetary policy of it. Even in this article, it talks about this Hex token is supposed to have superior monetary policy to Bitcoin. That is true, and I think it is true. Like, it has a better inflation model, right? It inflates less. Instead of miners in Bitcoin having to earn their reward and sell down the price, miners or stakers in Hex's case they're incentivized to hold up the price, right, and not sell it down. And it's completely different stuff. Even when you look at PulseChain, just to take a quick look at that, Ethereum used to be proof of work. So any of the miners who used to do their mining would have to theoretically sell their Ethereum for electricity costs to like make sure they're profitable and not just spending money on electricity. And it still managed to do like 30,000x from 15 cents to like $3,000. I think that's a 30,000x. So insane price appreciation with miners selling down the price. PulseChain is a fork of ETH 2.0 with better tokenomics, right? So it has inflation, but it also has deflation. And miners in PulseChain don't necessarily have to sell to basically make their electricity cost, because it's proof of stake now, right? So completely different systems, and we might see this play out, especially if PulseChain becomes deflationary in the bull market. Plus, there's all this like narrative and hype around it. We could see insane stuff surrounding the layer one, because usually layer ones tend to perform quite well as well. So.
Yeah, just on the deflationary part too, is that do you have any information on how that could happen? I think I took a look at it a while back, and I was like, oh yeah, actually, at a certain point, Ethereum and PulseChain could be essentially deflationary.
I think once you get enough transactions, I don't know how many beats or Gwei or like how many transactions per day or like how much volume you necessarily have to do. But once these networks are busy enough, the fees that get burnt they'll start to become deflationary, like net deflationary relative to the entire network. So what we could see is PulseChain and Ethereum. Sometimes Ethereum actually becomes net deflationary for certain days when the network's busy. And we could see the same thing on PulseChain, especially if this stuff starts taking off. Like me and Max were talking about last stream, we kind of want to see high gas fees on PulseChain, because it means that there's lots of onboards, lots of activities, lots of users, lots of people transacting, which all kind of brings value to the network and to the miners, right? Or validators in this case.
Yeah. Right now, I'm not super happy talking about high gas fees. As I posted a tweet the other day, almost $500. Literally, I didn't screenshot the 500. I did get a quote for 500 for market price to end a hex stake, to do a transaction. Literally, a contract interaction transaction, $500. And the screenshot I posted was like 456. It was just crazy, and it was just like a few cents or something on PulseChain. It was just, but yeah, to your point, eventually, yeah, PulseChain is not worth as much as Ethereum right now. If it gets anywhere close to that, why would the gas still be super cheap? I mean, hopefully, again, innovations, I believe Ethereum over time will innovate itself out of high gas fees, Ethereum big brain, all that stuff. And good news, hey, we're a fork, so we can take all those changes too. Should work out that way. So it's but we need higher gas fees, means the coins are worth more money. If Ethereum was worth less than a penny, you better believe those gas fees would be pretty, a lot cheaper than they are today.
I heard Phantom is actually working on a couple upgrades for Ethereum in terms of like scalability. So I think we might see some drastic upgrades. And I'm honestly hoping that like in the next 15 years, by the time these 555s are up, that Ethereum might be able to get its gas fees under control one way or another. Maybe there's a million Ethereums that get released or a bunch of layer twos that take load off the network, but traditionally like we don't really see layer twos really taking that much load off of Ethereum or even other layer ones per se. But I think it'll be interesting to see what happens in terms of like the networks and how, especially PulseChain, how busy it gets, how many new users we can acquire. And I think when you look at the network, like it's everything, like it's the same gas station as Ethereum. It's just built right across the street, right? It's one setting you change in your MetaMask, and maybe you have bridge over some tokens, and you can do everything you do on Ethereum on the Pulse chain, right? And it is ridiculous paying $500 to end stake on Ethereum. Like, I think that was one of the whole ideas why we built Pulse Chain, or Richard built Pulse Chain in the first place, was because like if you wanted to onboard a new user and let's say they only have $100, if they want to stake $100, it might cost them 120 to stake it and then 300 to end the stake, right, for $100. So you've essentially accomplished nothing, right? So I think that's why Pulse Chain's really valuable, but also the gas fees are going to be a kicker. I think we're going to see people complain about the Pulse Chain gas fees, even though like they really shouldn't be. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
that'll be
I know.
interesting to see.
I know, it was especially the first couple months. It was like people were like, "Where are my cheap fees?" I'm like, guys, it's I don't mind paying 25 cents for a transaction when Ethereum is 10 times higher. Like, or it's just. But anyways, that's just one of those things.
And when I look at just what yeah one last thing, when I look at the Go Pulse and it says like 75,000x cheaper than Bitcoin to transact, that makes me extremely bullish on the Pulse chain, because that basically shows us we have like 75,000x before we're on par with Bitcoin. And I think Ethereum could overtake Bitcoin, right? Especially in this, maybe in this bull market, maybe in the next bull market, but I think maybe one day in market cap, Ethereum could surpass Bitcoin. So if we see that happen and Pulse Chain is a fork of Ethereum, we could see lots of value coming in from the Ethereum network, or even from like Bitcoin and other places as well. So
got one question here from Red Bull Greenberries. We're sending out 5555s at this point on the off chance sharding exists by then, or they've rolled back as load increase. What do you think?
I do HSIs. That's sort of the what I've been doing. So I have a bunch of HSIs. I know Alex has some plans in Icosa V2 to do some things with like leveraging and borrowing, and that's sort of the whole point, is like you can borrow against your HSI with Hedron, and that's sort of a way, like if Hedron becomes valuable, we could borrow against it and you wouldn't need to necessarily sell your 555 HSI, and maybe that gas fee to borrow is cheaper than ending a 555 stake, which it probably is, but I haven't tested that myself yet. Anyways, I think it's definitely worth sending out a couple 5555s. I wouldn't mind having them as HSIs just for the extra like optionality that comes with that. But do beware, like HSIs do have more code, and that means more like it's kind of more risky in a way. We haven't seen any issues with the HSIs, so there is that. But native hex stakes, there's no problem with that at all either. So I don't. I would personally have a couple 555s for sure, but not financial advice though.
I tend to agree with HSIs on that, but also just with HSIs. I mean, the only thing I don't use HSIs for. Only reason I don't use HSIs for everything is they don't save you from yourself. Like that is a key feature that I like for it. So, yeah, I'm trying to think when I make 55. Have I made recent ones, and have they been more on Ethereum or Pulse Chain? Good question. Good question. I think I still have a lot, I'm talking about bags very much, but like I think I still have plenty on both, but I don't remember if I've made any new ones. And if I did, they would probably be HSIs, unless they were like my retirement, like a retirement bag of some sort, something that I literally thought, hey, I cannot let myself in a moment of weakness get rid of this bag, that sort of thing. or otherwise.
For me personally, actually, I have most of my 555s on Ethereum. I have like since the fork, I have most of them on Ethereum. So that's just me personally. Like I don't think I like my HSIs are also big enough where like even if I do have to pay a gas fee, I think I have a good feeling like Hex might appreciate enough where that gas fee might be 10% if on a bad day if there's no sharding or no scaling solution to Ethereum or nothing like that. But yeah, I don't recommend. I think I don't recommend a small 5555 on Ethereum. But if you're putting in like let's say at least like maybe 20, 30, 50,000 hex into one 5555, I could see how that becomes profitable even after gas fees. No, not financial advice though, of course.
Yeah, there's certain number I think for pulled staking. Otherwise, I think it used to be like 100,000 hex. If you're doing anything under 100,000, I think it was like common saying anything under 100,000 pull staking may make more sense. And anything above that, like who's not participating in pulled stakes or worries about gas fees? People making huge stakes. That's kind of the mental model for thinking about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know we're coming up on time. How much time do you have left? If you want to bring anything
I got
else.
like maybe 10 more minutes.
Okay. What do you?
5 to 10
I'll
minutes.
let you. I'll let you if you have something else you want to bring up.
I'll talk about a couple of things.
Okay.
I wanted to share. We kind of went over this article, fudding. Maybe not. A little bit of FUD, like a little bit of fear, a little bit of uncertainty, a little bit of doubt here in this article about Hex. But I also found this article on Luna, the coin that obviously went to zero, like 4 zeros, like in like $100 to like 4 or 5 zeros and whatever it went to. So insane stuff. I think most people here have heard about Luna. And this was by Stefan whoever on May 3rd, 2022. So what was it? In 2023 did Luna fail or was it 2022?
Hey, so I think everything failed in 22, didn't it?
I think it was 22, right? Because there was
Mhm.
FTX in 22, and then right before that, I
Three
think it
Arrows
was Luna,
Capital and
right? Yeah.
yeah, all of them. I think they're all in 22.
So yeah, this guy, and I think this isn't posted that far like off from when this probably collapsed on itself. But if you read this token, it's all just hyping up this Luna token. It's like this is the best thing ever. Um, it went from 900,000 wallets to 3.5 million wallets. I suspect PulseChain could do something similar without crashing. But even if we go from like let's say 90,000 wallets to 900,000 or 1.5 million or something like that, that is a huge amount of wallets to like onboard into this ecosystem. But this goes to show you like why Luna went up so much is because it literally went from probably even less than 900,000 wallets to over 3.5 million, which in crypto that is a lot of people interacting with like a simple like I think it was supposed to be a stable coin, right? And there was also like that whole like Luna coin itself. But anyways, it goes over how great it is. I'm not gonna go over it too in depth, but wondering if you were to invest $1,000 right now. But this is just insane to me how these sources you find an article on Luna and it's all like good and dandy, and then you find something on Hex and it's just like no key takeaways. You are incentivized to not sell, and SEC are coming after you. So I just think that this sort of stuff's interesting. And like Richard says it, like all these scams are promoted on the top front page of CoinMarketCap, right? And then Hex is just gate kept, right? For some reason. But I just think this stuff is interesting. A couple of other things that I was looking at is the PulseX DEX. One thing I've noticed is if you take a look at the liquidity, lots of the liquidity has been leaving the DEX, but in terms of the blockchain itself, like the TVL is still looking pretty strong in terms of like where it used to be. So I think people are starting to move their liquidity away from PulseX, but keeping it on the chain somewhere. So with that being said, like I think lower liquidity assets, it makes it harder for people to like dump their coins into because you face more slippage. And when people buy up the coins, which is what we're hoping to happen, prices usually pump more because when there's less liquidity, it's easier to like double the amount of coins that are in the pool, which 4x is the price. So I think before when PulseChain launched, you had like 40 or 50 million dollars in like the wrap pulse dye pair. Now it's closer to 12 million. So liquidity is thinning out on PulseX. You're still able to get good order execution. I don't think there's anything wrong with the amount of liquidity there, but it just goes to show like we remember back in the day on V1 and V2 Uniswap Hex, like the liquidity it wasn't very much, and that's really what caused a lot of the volatility and a lot of the price appreciation. Was when you have people coming in with like hundreds, thousands, millions of dollars, and they're buying into tiny liquidity pools, you're going to impact price quite a bit relative to like a Ethereum USDC liquidity pool, which I think has like $160 million of liquidity off the top of my head. I can't remember exactly, but it's like it's quite a bit of liquidity on Ethereum for Ethereum itself. But yeah, I think there's plenty of ways that you can make money over here on the Pulse chain. I think liquid loans also launched recently. I really like the whole idea of liquid loans, because I think last bull market you had a lot of people, like I guess you had 35 people to be exact, at least, paying off their parents' mortgages with Hex. Now that we have liquid loans, people could theoretically take out loans against their Pulse and use that to pay off mortgages. Not sure if that's the best idea. You'd have to like figure out the best way to like to use it, but we have these options, right? And I think it's absolutely insane and imperative that we have these DeFi protocols on Pulse Chain, because these are important. These are there. I bet you there's going to be people coming in to this ecosystem just to use some of these DeFi protocols, because they're so simple and easy to use, and it's just a free chain. Like the fees are so low and stuff like that. Like I think Liquid Loans has opened more vaults than its Ethereum counterpart already in like 2 or 3 weeks or so. So doing really good stuff. And even when you look at I think I might have brought up this point before, but if you look at Amazon and Jeff Bezos, he talked about how his stock went from $116 to $6, or $113 to $6. And he said during this period of time, all the internal metrics were looking up. So number of customers, number of orders, number of like I guess like number of volume, like all that kind of stuff. All the internal metrics were looking good. It was just the price chart that didn't reflect the company. And I'm not saying this is a company, but what I am saying is that the price chart is not really reflecting what's going on in the ecosystem. And we have, like I said, we have the best community, and I think it's going to go to show in this bull market. And we're going to see I think we're going to see a lot more people paying off their parents' mortgages with Hex PulseChain PulseX. Fingers crossed, right?
I certainly hope so. I mean, that's the stories I want to see. I want to see people actually benefiting in their real lives from investing in a crypto project that enables you to do that type of stuff. That's not a scam. It's not a rug pull. It teaches you good values. You know, it makes you, incentivizes you not to trade or do or leverage or all the other stuff too. Again, we need all that stuff in the ecosystem. We're in the city. You're gonna have brothels. You're gonna have restaurants. You're gonna have all this stuff. But in general, products like Hex and otherwise that help you really focus in on what's important. And again, shout out to Godwell. He loves those paper gains, and I hope he loves them forever, because he's locked up for a long period of time. But most people at a certain point, they want to take profits. They want to go take care of their real lives and not just look at a number on a spreadsheet type of thing. So I never fault people for selling or taking profits or otherwise. I think you can achieve glory in a lot of different ways, and people doing stuff like that in real life, like that's the cool stuff. That's the stuff I want to see in my ecosystem. And like, I just want to end on this, and I'll give some closing notes too. RH is not going to fail. I don't know who thinks he's going to. I don't know who doubts the billionaire genius founder guy. Like, he has a plan. We may not know what it is. I don't care what it is. I've seen nothing but the guy want to make number and community and everything else go up. So great tokenomics. There's some entity with most of the supply and zero reason or track record of dumping. Again, sole purpose is glory. If I'll talk about this in the stream with Dipcatcher next week. I got a lot of stuff I want to go through with him as well. But I don't know if you're not gonna bet against if you're going to bet against an ecosystem just because 1 out of the 50 cases from the SEC that they brought against crypto, they brought against Coinbase and everyone else, some of the most ridiculous stuff, you're going to be out because of that, because it happens to affect your ecosystem. That's what you're going with. I don't know. I'm going with glory. You guys do what you want. I'm going with glory though. CryptoCon, you get the last words.
Yeah, I mean, when I first saw Richard Hart, I didn't really know what to think. He is that guy, like he's outlandish a little bit, like he's cocky, he does his thing, but he is right. And one thing that I liked about when I was listening to more and more and more Richard Hart is it all started to unwrap itself, and it all started to make more and more sense as you start really just objectively listen to what he's saying and understand and realize that like he's really not here to like hurt users. And I think he's here for glory. He's here to make a name for himself, and he's here to like redistribute wealth to the peoples. I think in one way or another, I think he built something that is going to do something like that. And I think it's a beautiful product. And the more and more I think about Hex, I don't even know how you came up with this idea. I don't know how someone comes up with an idea like Hex. It is honestly beautiful. And the more you unwrap and the more you uncover it, like the more there is for you to like. So that's sort of my take on Richard and Hex. I think they're beautiful products. And Richard, I don't think he's a scammer. I think he has his outrage and his outlandish marketing, but it's a little bit funny, not really for everyone. But I think in the next couple of years, we're gonna really see him shoot for glory, basically, like, and probably and most definitely achieve it. So.
Yeah, man, there's got to be some meme here around like Robin Hood. He's like Richard Hood. He steals from everyone who doesn't stay. Steals from the rich and gives it to his community. Yeah. Speaking of that, Burberry says, "Hello. There are 4 of me. I have 3 brothers. I have 3. You didn't see the Burberry show that day? I did Burberry. I introduced 3 new bears. 3 new.
You're adding more. You're accumulating the bears during the bear market.
Price goes up, don't they? I'm going to call the bear top. I'm going to call the bear top.
The bear top?
The watch top.
Yeah. No, that was one thing I thought was super funny when Richard, like, he would just brag about everything. It's like, I called the watch top. I called the Bitcoin top. And I'm like, dang. No. Like, you got to listen to this dude, but
you got to be like, stuff. God, that's cool. You got to just, like, if you see him in his throne stuff, you got to, no matter what you think, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Is, like, it's pretty sweet. Yeah.
All right, man. Great stream as usual. Appreciate chat out there as well. You guys have, sorry, I can't get to all your questions. Again, add us on Twitter. If you have some question that you asked and we didn't get to in the show, just at CryptoCong, RHMax on Twitter. And if we know the answer, we'll try to get back to you. Yeah, man, thanks for coming on. I know I wanted to stream more regularly with you because you bring some good data to the table. And I think the conversations that are not happening everywhere in the community, I want them to happen here. I want people to learn and understand the power of these products and the interesting stuff going on in the ecosystem. So I appreciate you and what you bring here.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me on. It was a great stream as always. Thank you for chat for being here as well. Like you guys are pretty active. Like Max was saying, if you have any questions, feel free to message me or DM me or do whatever you need to do. I don't think Max has his DMs open, but you guys can DM me if you have a question or anything like that. If I'm able to answer it, I will answer it for you. That's no problem. Yeah, I think that's about all for me.
All right. That being said, Scivive and 5555. We are out.